So today we've got a pair of shell cordovan shoes, and they are absolutely gorgeous Austerity brogues, and they're from Carmina. Now, I haven't brushed these, and the reason that I hadn't brushed them is because I wanted to actually brush some right now while we're talking, and let you see exactly how well they shine up with just brushing. So we're gonna do a little bit of comparison here. And take a look at that. They really do shine up quite nicely. And this is Horween hatch grain shell cordovan. Now this is bourbon, but they are MTO, so I could have chosen a different color here, a different color here, a different color here, a different color here. You can see I did green on the lining. And take a look at the tongue. Just for fun, I used a burgundy tongue because, well, that's different. Nobody does that. That's a way of making my MTO shoes mine, not anybody else's. This isn't about, making the shoe for something everybody else would like. Now, I did a couple of other things on these that I thought were really unique. Now, this was the first pair that I made with the custom tool that allowed you to go in and look at different pieces. So look at that. I did the green sole. I did the toe plates. This, holy cow, how many soles are there? There's 1, 2, 3. This is a triple sole, plus the welt, of course. I did a storm welt on an Oxford dress shoe. Now this is on the booger last. I did a chestnut edge, the green bottom, and it is gorgeous. They did a phenomenal job. I also did green stitching, which you can see there. Now, let's talk a little bit about the leather. Horween shell cordovan is notoriously consistent and always softer and shines very, very nice than many of the shell cordovans on the market. I'm not going to say that it's the best, but I'm certainly not going to say that there's anything wrong with it because I am partial. They are a Chicago company, and I've just had really, really good luck with them. It doesn't really matter the maker. Now, the hatch grain is still relatively new, but really is quite nice. Now, this is the same color as this, but it is a little bit different angle, and B, that's what happens with shell cordovan, is you get these slight differentiations in there. So now that kind of looks like that could be almost like a whiskey tone, but they don't offer a whiskey hatch grain. It's only bourbon. So I thought that was an interesting thing to point out as well. A lot of guys will look at their shoes and go, well, wait a second, that's not what I ordered. But the variation is quite normal, and you will see quite a bit. So here you can see the heel pad stops right about here, but beautiful. They actually use a shell cordovan heel pad on these. Let's see, we got just gorgeous lining. Now the lining on these is, I always opt for calf lining. They offer kid lining as well, but I stopped doing kid because it makes it a little bit too thin and the shoes get a little bit roomier than I like them. So that's something that I tend to frown on. Now the last itself, let's talk about fit. The last fits perfectly here to here, but here to here, this is a little bit wider, but this is about the same. So my toe has just enough room so that at the end of the day, my toe is not cramped. Now that can mean that it's a little bit loose during the day, but as you can see from the creasing here, the creasing, and it's not creasing because it's shell cordovan, it's rolls, but it's not bad. And that's the sure tell sign that you have too much room here, and maybe you should consider sizing down. Now, I probably could size down in length, except for my little toe, which candidly right now is hurting because I had a pair of shoes that was too small. So not something I'm likely to do. The storm welt, something to think about when you're looking at shoes like this and going through the MTO program, is the storm welt can get nicks on it, which require basically using edge dressing on it, which can be tricky on that because it's really, really thin area and you can't get the edge dressing on the shell cordovan. So that's something to consider when you're choosing what you're going to put on the shoes. The fit size, it feels and looks a little roomy because this is a little elongated on the toe. But again, they fit very well, and you see where they crease is actually pretty good. And of course, back here, they fit just fine. From a wear perspective, it's typical JR soles, so they wear pretty hard. And, the ink does wear off, but it doesn't wear off especially easily, which I think is nice. Now, quality of the toes of this toe steel is not really all that good. It actually leaves a little something to be desired. I can feel each of them, and you can see there's a gap here where there really shouldn't be a gap. So not very impressive there. I think actually that the New York store might have sent these out to a cobbler instead of having them done at the factory, which is disappointing. But I think maybe what happened is that they noticed that the order was wrong and they didn't have them, so they added them later. But, because I was hoping to get Carmina toe plates on them, but, that didn't happen. So anyway, so that's the shoes. I'm really happy with the way they look. I think that the design of them was really, really cool, and it actually matches what I was thinking when I designed it, which is not always true when you go through those little design stuff. Things that I think would be cool if they did differently. I think that the eyelets are too uniform. I would have them a little bit wider, really all the way across the shoe. And more tapered so that it follows more of the swan neck pattern. Now they sewed the swan neck pattern in here, but not really like they should. So I wish they had done that a little bit better. I think that Austerity brogues look better with a more pronounced swan neck. So maybe a double or triple row of stitching, and then actually do this should be curved in more to make it work better. And other than that, all of the choices on the shoe were mine. If I look at the Weld Lines and the quality there, it's all pretty good. So, even the notch there is fine. Weld line here, pretty good. Stitch density for Carmina is always good, as it is here. So no complaints. I really feel like they did a good job. I wish the heel pads were longer, but again, these are $1,000, which is a lot, but that's including the full up charge. So if you get these in calf instead of shell cordovan, you're looking at $475, I guess. So it is a good value, high quality shoe, and a lot of the things that I look for, I really find on the higher quality shoes, and that's not necessarily fair to Carmina. They run a great factory, they have a great MTO program, they have a great tool online, and again, as I said before, most importantly, what you design online is actually what you get, and that is so key for all of us. So Carmina, Booger, Austerity brogues, and shell cordovan, they are a winner for me.